Okay, so let's have a very simple look at the lecturing styles and how the different lecturing styles, in something simple like where you stand when you're delivering your lecture, where you stand, how you use your voice, your stage presence in effect, and therefore what can we learn from these different lecturing styles that we can then adapt into our lecturing style stage presence. So here we have a simple one of the news, and you can see there once again with the newsreader. See how once again not move. I can't do this. Very just gesticulatory I am, but the newsreader doesn't move. Very stoic, very straightforward in their posture, in their how they speak. They don't move around. They don't cause distraction. Always staying in one place. They let the news or the screen behind them do the talking, for one of the better ways. Look at the phraseology they use as well, and how much they think about what they say. One of the greats there, look. So look how there's a real thought process to what they say. Their words are slowed down. It's a simple image and a message. They don't wear anything that's too distracting. The tie's not too garish. It's not an outlandish jacket. He's really not trying to give it the big uns. It's really thoughtful. It's thought provoking. It's thought through. It's just me speaking and a simple image. And that's all it is. Nothing fancy, nothing needed. This is everything you need to get on with what you need to get on with. Such a nice, clean, crisp, simple way of delivery. So here we can see the scene from Good Will Hunting. I know it's not an actual real live counselling scene, but once again, they tend not to be recorded, etc. But you can see here the position of him. Now, I know this is not always replicable in a lecture theatre, but there's some elements that we can have. If you look there, see how he's facing, half facing the person, and then still half facing the rest of the room. So he's still engaging with him in a very personal manner, but he's also opened up that if this was a group session, everyone would feel included in that. Notice once again how he seats himself next to all his stuff. So he's still in his safe zone, next to having all the relative information close to his fingertips, but he's still at a level to engage with his audience, for want of a better word. Notice once again, mirroring the body language. Sat, hands on, leg out, not quite leaning, because still has to remain that professional edge, etc. So even though this is a counselling session, there are still some elements we can have in how we use our body language within a lecturing scenario. I mean, if we move this scene a little bit further on, you can see there's the exchange, the comfortable body language, the reflection of the body language, the looking at him, but maintaining that sidewards view, so he's still a bit more open. I think if we skip on a bit further, you see here, they're both getting more animated. His body language is opening up, his body language is opening up, more gesticulation as they both get more involved in the session. Notice once again, he's matching the energy. So they're both getting very excited now. So they both stood up, both matching the energy. Look at the reaction of the hands, etc., like that. So it's that counselling. You can see it's that real mixture of that personable element, but with that maintaining that knowledge standpoint as well, by maintaining that authority in there. But he's reflecting his audience's body language, his mood, his energy, and where they stand, etc. So the teddy bears are very interesting one. It's very hard to get videos of it. And the teddy bear, as we've said, is whatever you need it to be. So it's a very reaction one. I don't know if this actually works for a lecturing style on where to position yourself, but it is whatever the individual needs it to be. So here you can see is his little play friend. I mean, granted, this teddy bear is designed to be a play friend. I just think it's a very cute video. But you'll see later that he starts to cuddle him, so it becomes his cuddle bunny. And so it's his educator, his cuddle bunny, and things like that. So it's that very reactive role. Now, I don't know how that works in all honesty, within where you stand within your lecturing style. But it is that useful thing of what do your learners need you to do? Do they need you to be a bit more newsreader? Do they need you to be a bit more animated? Do they need you to be a bit more stoic, etc.? So responding to your learners and responding to their needs and being that personal thing that they require is one of the key elements of what makes a good teddy bear. So here we can see I like this one. It's a sped up comedian. She's one of my favorite comedians at the moment, is Taylor. But I'm not here to talk about comedians. I'm here to once again talk about that stage presence, how she uses the stage. What's interesting with comedians, and if you watch a lot of them, like I do, is you'll see that they only actually scan between the middle third of the stage. It's very rare they go to the either ends of the stage. Once again, look at the gesture, holding, position to help prove a point as well. But what's interesting about Taylor is she has this chair on her right, our left, and then a bit further to the right, there's the mic stand, and there's another mic stand or another stand or a marker. And if you just watch her and not listen and watch it in sped up like I've got here, you actually see she only ever moves between that middle third of the stage. Because as comedians, we're engaging with that middle third of the audience. There'll be the high end of the audience that are getting it, they understand it, they did the pre-reading, etc. Then there's the low end of the audience that no matter what we do, it's not going to work for them. I was often told you only have to concentrate on 2 out of 5. So if you imagine a boat and there's 5 people in the boat, the person at the front is rowing one way, the person at the back is rowing their way. So you ignore them. So all you need is to focus on 2 out of 3 people in the middle to get them on board to help your boat go in the direction you need to do. And this is kind of what comedians do. So it's things like how they move around. Notice there as well, pause. I do this a lot. I have a cup that I have and I drink out of that there's nothing in it, but it gives a pause for a reason if I need a pause. So whether that's a breath for me, breath for the audience, etc. So it's understanding that audience. So some great things we can learn from the comedian about listening to your audience. Things like a cough count. If you've never heard of the cough count, so more people that are coughing means more people are not engaged. So you can listen out for those cues that people are engaging with you. And then, as I say, it's that moving within that middle third, constant movement, but not overly exaggerated movement like some of the other elements, or not understated movements like some of the other elements. It really does hit that middle ground of personable and engaging, does the stand-up part of the lecturing styles iconography. Okay, this is the ultimate, as you can see from the icon, the rock star. But look at it straight away. Look, he goes straight to one end of the stage. He's gone straight to the other end of the stage. He's now playing piano, which doesn't help explain my point. But you can see how he's bringing the energies. He's lifting everything aloft. Everything's much bigger. Everything's much more exaggerated. Look at the energy he's putting on stage. There's an argument. Does he feed the crowd? Does the crowd feed him? But ultimately, it's there. Look how, as I said, everything's more exaggerated. He's not even singing at this point. Oh, now he is. But he's still the center of attention. Your focus is still drawn to him. And, as it skips around, so he's got some iconic movements. So you can see the hand, the fist, the punch in to re-emphasize the point, so and all the crowd is going along with the clapping, etc. And it works with him. He's acknowledging his band. But everything is bigger, larger, energy, more enthusiastic. You can see why Freddie is the icon of the rock star, because you can see just every still from here could have been one of these little blacked out icons that I use in those things. But you can see it's that energy that he brings, that enthusiasm. You cannot take your eyes off of him. So once again, when you're looking at your lecture, are you just stood there being an inanimate object? Do you even need to be there? Could you just provided a voiceover video and then popped up at the end and gone, any questions? Or do you want to give the students something to focus on, some energy for them to feed on? So this one is two of the greatest kind of stage magicians, which is what we can really learn from. And if you haven't seen it, this is their cup and balls routine. But what's great about this is it shows you how they show things to the audience here. So here you can see the cup and balls routine, how he vanishes the ball and it ends up in the cup, etc. But if you haven't watched this routine, it's a great routine for stagecraft. Audience happy, well done. Okay, because then they actually switch out the balls for glass cups. So now you can actually see what's really happening, where things are going, how he pockets that, palms that, and it's already under that cup. You can see how he switched that and put that thing there before you even saw it. Same again here. He's popped that one back in there. He's put his hand in his pocket, so he's Penn's got something in his hand, he's just pointing to it, but he's trying to keep it in his palm there, make it look like he hasn't. Added a third one in there as well, etc. So you can see there how they actually go about the trick. And it's once again, it's I know as lecturers we're not magicians, but it's the simple thing of, is there a better place to stand to really emphasize your point? Where you stand, what is the audience actually seeing compared to what you want them to see? So is there better places that you can stand in your lecture while delivering your lecture that best emphasizes the point that you need the audience to get across? So I know that was a very brief introduction to lecturing styles and how to use them when delivering your lecture, but hopefully just something as simple as where you stand, how you use your voice, how you use your gestures and stuff like that. Hopefully now it gives you a little bit of food for thought so you can look at more of the how you do it than the what you're actually doing, and just helps you delve a bit deeper into this wonderful world of lecturing styles.